If the world of One Piece is truly going to be flooded, how will the Straw Hats' allies and nations that they've saved in the past survive? At the start, it will be much easier for the royalty of each island, as Oda has designed each island so that the king's castle sits at the very highest point above sea level on the island. This will lead to a scramble for land that will highlight the class struggle that defines the One Piece world. The commoners will fight desperately for the safe land that the island's nobility have, and the island's nobility will fight desperately for the safe land that the world nobles have on the Red Line. The former crew of the Roger Pirates seem to be prepared for this outcome as well. We see this with Rayleigh being a great swimmer and a ship coder, and Crocus living inside of a whale. That's why the Roger Pirates and also Shanks' crew were wise enough to avoid eating a devil fruit, because they knew the future risk of losing your ability to swim in the world that was coming. But this still leaves the vast majority of the world out to dry, or rather out to drown. But there's potentially one thing that can save the entire One Piece world, and that's the Noah. The Noah in One Piece is a clear biblical reference to the story of Noah's Ark in the book of Genesis, where God commands Noah to build an ark that will save his family and 2 of every animal from an impending flood. In retrospect, it makes much more sense now that the Noah is meant to save all of humanity rather than just the fishmen, as it's almost as big as an entire island itself. And the fishmen really would need a boat to travel, given that they are an aquatic race. But perhaps the Noah will be used to save every One Piece race, the same way that 2 of every species was assembled on the ark in the biblical story. If the most hated race in One Piece, the fishmen, gathered every other race in One Piece onto one boat, this may be enough to break the cycle of racial hatred that infests the One Piece world. This would beautifully wrap up the themes of the Fisherman Island arc, but also fulfill Jinbei's main goal, which is why I think he will be at the helm of this rescue mission. And potentially Chopper might have an even tougher task if he has to talk to every animal in the world and miraculously gather all of them peacefully onto the Noah as well.